Hello guys and gals, welcome to another episode of The Pilot Mindset. Today's video is on the topic of clan matches. While certain aspects may be simple and easy to understand, there are numerous layers and nuances when it comes to playing clan matches. I'm joined by Alex from Londo Bell, a Western-based clan in Gundam Battle Operation 2, who will be my local expert for this excursion, and is well versed in the ins and outs of clan matches. By the way, Alex, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Aoshi. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I gotcha. It's honestly, for me, it's an honor and pleasure and a privilege to have you on here, just because we've had other people on similar segments before. But unlike our other Pilot Mindset videos, we are doing things a little bit differently this time, because I feel like in a sort of written out sense, it might feel a little less intuitive for folks that are trying to get into this. So first and foremost, like I said, we are talking about clan matches as the main topic. I would say probably the first thing, and this kind of probably leads into maybe your own personal story as well, is essentially finding a clan in the first place. So how would you go about doing that, and what's your personal experience in getting into where we're at now, which would be Londo Bell?
Sure. So this is an older story. About 5 years ago, so I got into the game just as a general Gundam fan. I appreciated some of the more slower, methodical gameplay that this provided over some of the other Gundam games that were out at the time. And I got a message from Smile Styles wanting to join a clan, but at the time I really was just playing fully casually. I played rated matches every once in a while, but not too much. Got to A+ after some time. And I didn't really think much of it. But then he messaged me again, and it occurred to me, looking at the message log, oh wow, he messaged me a full year ago today. Same question, are you interested in clan match? And I thought to myself, well, that's one of the aspects of the game I haven't really considered, but I'm kind of curious, so why not? I said, sure, I'll join. And sure enough, he was recruiting for Londo Bell. And that's the clan I've been in all these years, this entire time. All it took was just some person who thought I played particularly well in a match or two, and he thought I played well enough to reach out to me again, and I happened to be interested in it. So for that, I would say, just consider or be willing to communicate with others. I know there's a lot of players that maybe don't have the messaging open, or you might have Japanese players, but there's plenty of Western players too. And a lot of them are just part of clans that, will just be used to, earn those tokens, earn those resources, but they might actually want to play the game at that extra higher level. And who knows, you might make a friend, you might be able to join a clan. It's not that difficult. Not to mention, there are plenty of Western clans out there. They are growing, and we're seeing more of them in clan matches now. It doesn't take too many people either. If you manage to find 3 or 4 people that you're willing to work with and play with consistently, that's all it takes to get started.
That's pretty amazing. Like I say that's crazy, but it's also amazing too, because my own personal story, I don't want to delve into it too much because I know we got a list of topics to go through. But I would say mine's a very similar parallel to that, although I did join several other clans before I ended up onto Londo Bell. But I would say, yeah, that's the thing too, is a lot of times I don't think a lot of players are even very aware of the clan system, or feel like they need to join a clan system, or clan based team, or even they might be part of a clan that just are there for casually, just for leveling and tokens and was it DP points and everything. So that's pretty amazing. I never knew that Smiles was part of Londo Bell at the time. I always saw his name pop up with White Dingo, and I don't know if that's still current right now, but it is pretty amazing and crazy, considering that the Western side getting into GBO2 probably at the cusp of 2018, maybe earlier, before the English patch come out, and then to where we're at right now. It's just pretty crazy for the most part. I'm just amazed.
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's all it takes, and look where we are now. For all the times we've made the board on the clan match, it's been a great experience. Met some of my best friends via gaming through that.
I gotcha. I would say this almost kind of segues into the next part. I know you mentioned finding a clan. What about finding that right group of people to play with? Because I know some people will just, they're the kind of that personality, they'll outright reach out through PSN, and that's kind of how we have our clans the way we have them now, as far as some of the the established clans, even like in the Western side of things too. Do you have any insight on that, or even people to play around with? I guess, you know, people that you vibed with very well. I know there's like a couple.
Yeah, I mean, you said the keyword right there, vibe. It is all about the vibe check. Obviously, people can work well together, but to, you know, really work in that higher attuned level, I would say just keep it up in mind. Play with a bunch of different people, but you'll know it when you see it. And, you know, I've got my core group within Londo Bell. Whenever we play together, you don't even really have to communicate. I'm certain a lot of your listeners, if, you know, they have longtime friends that they've played with, they know how that works. You generally know how they're going to maneuver. You know what shots they're going to take. You know what lane they're going to push. You don't have to say anything. You just have that mind meld going. You work together cooperatively, and it just meshes. It syncs. It flows. It's perfect. You know, honestly, a pretty good example of this, I want to say it was maybe 3 clan matches ago. This was Tropical Desert. Some of the veterans that, you know, had been with Londo Bell for a very long time and mostly retired at this point for about a year or two, just out of lack of interest in moving on to different games, they wanted to come back. And so I thought, you know what, it's a Saturday night. Why don't we do a clan match and see how it feels? And we basically maxed out every game. And we were just having a good time. We were laughing the whole time. It kind of felt like old times again. We were even using older suits, and it still worked out great. That's the thing. When you play with people that you know really well and you mesh with really well, you absolutely see it. And when you do get find those relationships, you gotta foster them. I would say if you do find those people and you're all interested in, you know, pursuing clan match or moving on to something else, stick with that group. I found it too. It's a pretty interesting situation. Like, I've worked with a lot of different clans, and, you know, we tend to kind of like share knowledge and try to improve our own group performance. And frequently we'll find that we'll put groups together that, you know, can kind of work together, but maybe not ideally. I would say try to foster that group where you really see that maximum efficiency, that perfect blend, that everything works exactly right. You know it when you see it. And I say, just let it go. Just run with that group, even if the ratings might not make sense. If these people are putting out amazing numbers, if they're putting out great performance, you just gotta let it. That's how it works sometimes. So let it go.
No, I would say I definitely agree. And that's like, for some people, it might feel like it's a pipe dream, but like when you actually see like video footage of that happening, it's just like, wow, I want to be a part of that. That's just pretty crazy. And usually with that type of stuff, I'm assuming like between you, Buddha, what was it, Jang, I think, and even was that missing a fourth one? Because it was a 4v4, right? Poggers, yeah. That wasn't overnight. That dynamic was not overnight, as far as just, you know, knowing who's gonna push, who's gonna, you know, hold midline. Because like for me, personality wise, sometimes I will not be afraid to flank, but you know, it's one of those weird dynamics, like you said. Like, you guys have been playing along, you know, with each other for so long as a squad, as a, you know, pretty much one mind type of mindset, that, you know, it's probably been what, years since you guys been practicing like that, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I still recall, again, it was that same group, and then Relouche too, where we were struggling even to get bronze. This is the early days of Londo Bell. But we kept at it. We worked at it. We worked together. And I think, the first time we hit that board, I do believe it was me, Poggers, Buddha, and Jang. And it was a space match simple battle way back in the day. I think Dryson had just released or something.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's what it takes.
Yeah, Dryson to this day is still Banis in the right hands. I think it's just, even with the power creep, I think it can still hold, but, you know, I'm tangenting off of that. All right, so I think in our preliminary setup here, I think we had something along the lines of eliminating expectations, because I know part of that whole clan match success does depend on your pilot rating, and the only way you can raise your pilot rating from A to A plus and S minus and so forth is basically playing rated. And I think you mentioned something along the lines of eliminating expectations. I wouldn't say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'll let you hand off on that and let us know what that really comes down to it.
Absolutely. It's generally just mindset, and like, basically you have to take every game as they come. Look, we all know the skill of the player, and not just general understanding of this game's concepts to the player base varies wildly. You will find people that you cannot comprehend the choices they are making in these matches, And that's okay. They're going to be on the other side sometimes. They're going to be on your side sometimes. You cannot ever take it personally. When you get tilted, it obviously affects game performance. Obviously affects your enjoyment of the game. And to put it simply, it is truly random. Obviously, things change a little bit based on the time that we are playing. I mean, a perfect example, I think we're speaking around the time of anniversary right now. Obviously, the player base has shifted. I'm seeing names that I have not seen in a year or two. I'm seeing so many more players. The matchmaking is a lot faster, and it is a lot less consistent. Because these are people that have returned to the game after enormous hiatus, not to mention summer break. So there are a lot of people who, haven't been able to play that now they have the free time to play, returning as well. You can't let it get to you. It is still Gundam, it is still fun, and ultimately I say this: you can only really be disappointed in your own performance. You can make mistakes, and I've made them too. We're human, and all you can do is think, what choices could I have made that were different? If it's up based on all the decisions they made, that's out of your control. Why would you get upset about that? It's just pointless emotion. You can only really look to any decisions you made that you could have been better, and then just focus on that. Things that are within your control, things that you determine. That's what I would say is like managing expectation. And again, particularly for rating and clan match too. Honestly, this speaks to clan match as well. You don't know who you're going to end up fighting against. The skill levels among the clans that end up in the top 100 vary wildly as well. And even within the clans that end up in the top 100, they can have several groups running that also have very significantly different skill sets. You could run into a top 10 clan, and you might get nervous, and that might affect your performance, but you don't know if that's their B team or C team. You have to just go in with a blank slate, try your best, and look for any areas where you might have made a decision that wasn't ideal, where you could improve, but don't really think too hard about the situation itself or the enemies that you're getting, the matchmaking. The team that you were put with, this is outside of clan match, but basically, you can't be upset about it because it really isn't productive. It isn't beneficial. It doesn't help anyone or yourself. And frankly, if you get too worked up about it, it will diminish your enjoyment of this game. And we don't want to see that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had a lot of those instances before, but I think I definitely agree with the the mindset going in, because like if I kind of temper my expectations, right, just try to look, it's always going to be a crapshoot as far as who I'm paired with. Like the suits may be good, like one of the matches I had recently, the suits picks might be good, but if the players are not like 100%, we're going to see that, and the only thing I can really worry about is trying to help my team as best I can. It's either going to be a win or loss regardless, so let's just do what we can and go from there.
Now that you mention it, just this week I had a space match where there were 2 Isaacs on my team. And I personally know people who would just leave the lobby on that. Oh, by the way, this is a bit of a tangent. I hate that. I ready up the second. I don't care what suits have been picked. I just ready up. I take the game. I don't want to go back to matchmaking. And I was almost about to record it. I think I sat in 6 minutes straight of matchmaking because people kept leaving based on the suit picks that our team had. I'm like, God, just get it over with. It's fine. At worst, it's 1 loss. Who cares? You'll have a win after. You'll get a win eventually. It's not a big deal. But also, I have seen the most bizarre suit pick combinations work. You really don't know until you get in there. So yeah, I say just take it as they come.
I wouldn't even say that's a tangent, but I have left because of that, because it's just I've seen that where it's a double sports, but there's an Isaac at a higher cost than it needs to be. I'm like. That's literally my reaction on that.
Gotta have faith that it can work. I've seen it. It can work.
I'm gonna need Pope powers if I'm gonna have faith for that. But no, you make a good point though, really, because man, yeah, it's so weird. But yeah, you definitely do have to kind of like go in with the mindset of can do versus cannot do. But I would say 90% of the player base is definitely in that other latter mindset, which it's hard to do with a gameplay standpoint such as Gundam Battle Operation 2 with how it does and how things are outside of your control. All right, so we've kind of gone over your personal background and kind of joining into the clan or getting into the clan scene, however you want to word it. and then kind of finding that close-knit group of people, or maybe even the entire clan, because I know like you can play with just about almost anybody. I think you played with myself included. You kind of have an understanding of, you know, what people's habits are and everything. So now that we kind of jumped all across there, let's get into like the basis of clan matches by themselves. So I'm looking at the actual GBO2 website, how to join in clan matches, and I think they've always been like on a Friday or Saturday night or morning if we're talking Japanese time. But I was gonna say, maybe we can kind of go into that and explain to our viewers how that works and how that could be, you know, beneficial for people that are just getting into it for the first time. Because based on the vibes that I'm getting from you, Alex, is that it's never too late to get into this.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Again, looking at the GBO2 clan match website, you can find tons of information on exactly, you know, when clan match is scheduled, the costs and match types. And to that end, I would say, let's say you've got your group, your core 4 or 5 people that you decide you want to run with. Play to your strengths. Look at the clan match type that is scheduled. Look at the cost, and look at the date and time. So, perfect example is, and we see this all the time. Once in a blue, usually it's going to be a simple battle 4v4. They will have a clan match time that is available for Western audiences Saturday night or evening. It's late night, but it's still Saturday night. That is far more accessible to most players on the West who are already happen to be playing or online at the time. So we tend to see a lot more Western clans show up that day. So I would say look for that. You'll usually see it once every 4 or 5 clan matches. And it tends to, again, since it tends to be simple battle, it tends to be 4v4, easier barrier for entry. You only need 4 people, including yourself. So I would say look to that, and try to make that your first. If this is your first foray into clan match, consider that as an option. With that in mind too, a lot of people are kind of focused on rating, the group rating, because the clan match system does utilize rating averages of your teams to pair people together. And it does its best. I've definitely seen a time where an A+ clan will match up against GMP or Rev in their full S stack, but it isn't common. They will try to keep it within reason. But to that end, a lot of people worry that it's not worth it. We'll never hit top 100. It's too difficult. I would say just be mindful of your rating, and you can use that to your advantage. This is a very simple example. You can absolutely reach top 100 for any clan match if your average clan rating is between A flat and A+. I've seen it constantly. What you want to do is make sure that you're maximizing your potential point value for the matches you get. Just as an example, let's say it's simple battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people traditionally build, because they've seen this in videos, they've seen Japanese players run with this. They build for defense, they build for survivability. Conceptually, that makes sense, particularly for basic match. The longer you live, the more opportunities you have to do damage, to capture points, to get kills or secure kills. It makes sense, and honestly, that's a good wisdom. But for simple battle, it's slightly different. You want to kill as fast as possible. The max scores for simple battles, in my experience, tend to be almost unreasonably high, and by that I mean the devs, I guess, are expecting teams to wipe each other out every 25 to 30 seconds. We're talking kills within a single down, which, unless you've built for it, isn't achievable for most suits, especially the higher cost you go. But this is the thing. If you haven't built for it. For simple battle, I always recommend players, and I'm always encouraging and kind of strongly recommending this in preparation for the clan match with my clan. Be as almost recklessly aggressive as possible, and here's why. Yes, you are leaving yourself potentially vulnerable. You may find an opportunity where you are simply outskilled. That is the nature of clan match. The other team might be better than you guys, and so they'll kill you frequently. Fine. But if you happen to run into a team that you are better than, well, now you have the ability to kill them on one down, all 4 of you. You're going to wipe them repeatedly over and over. Even if they wipe you back after the first wave, as long as you're in the lead at the end, And I've actually seen that too. I've seen some videos of Japanese players. These are the top ranking clans. I liken it to scenes in anime where the antagonist and the protagonist are, standing still and just punching the crap out of each other's faces until one of them goes down.
Yeah,
I mean, it's extremely aggressive. It's very reckless. It's not particularly strategic, but that top score, the team score, it's the highest I've ever seen. You're looking at 25,000 points for higher cost simple battle, and you will not see that if you play in the traditional, oh, I just want to win. No, clan match is all about maximizing score, even if you have to, play differently than you're used to. But it is very achievable, and this goes back to my earlier point. I have seen A-flat, A-plus teams reach that board and get that clan suit, even for their first time. All they had to do was, build for it, be aggressive, push as quickly as they can, and it only takes 3. It only takes the average performance, the total performance of 3 games, your top 3 games. So you only need 3 good wins to comfortably land anywhere on the board, and we've seen this consistently. If you happen to get max scores against A+ average players, you're looking at a top 25 placement guaranteed every time. It is very consistent, and that's not that hard to achieve. You just have to, build for it, be ready for it.
I gotcha. One thing I wanted to note too is we're looking at this to kind of keep this simple, example wise. We're looking at this from like a 500 cost perspective, right? Because I would say my mindset going into that was a lot different, but like hearing sort of what you should be going in with, it makes a lot more sense. Obviously, for I would say myself in recent time, I've kind of been hardwired back into public matches, and so it's going to be hard to like transition back into that whole clan fighting mindset where aggression is key, right? I know everybody likes to spam that every so often in there, but when you break it down in regards to like the team score itself and how the clan match points are kind of calculated at the end of the match, it makes perfect sense. Mainly because you get going off of the site here, you get 5% of your team score, which is basically converted into the final result. So it's also based on if you win, or even if it as a loss, you still get it, and it's also based on your rating too. So calculating all that in effect and still getting those kills, like like that one match you described where they were constantly deadlocked, just slugging it out. And I think based on that impression, I didn't see figures, but I'm assuming they both were high scores at the end of that video on both teams. Yeah,
that's right. They were basically they were within 2 kills. It was that close, but whatever had won, it was just like 1 or 2 kills south of a max score, and they were S-. Those are basically contributing matches to their top 10 placement.
All I know
so
is
either of them could have gotten
that. You're gonna have to send me that link because I want to actually check that out. But seeing that, like, because I know, what is it? The website doesn't really explain the calculations very well. So it's just, I would say, from your perspective, it's just more of just kind of not just watching stuff, but being in the thick of things and kind of seeing how those results have kind of turned out over the years. Coming from like the early humble days of Londo Bell up to where we're at right now is kind of my impression of why it should be like people should be looking into that if they are entering into clan match, which kind of segues me into why we should be doing clan matches. So for me, I would say it's always been the suit. I like learning new stuff. This new past one that we just got, which is the GM2 weapon master or weapon tester. I keep on saying weapon master. It should be weapon master, honestly, but I thought it was pretty interesting to pick up because it was just like I struggled a bit, but it was like really cool. But what do you think? What are your opinions on why we should do this, or why people should be getting into that, even if maybe they're not necessarily interested in the, I don't know, maybe it's the macho-ness of being like top clan or something. I would probably say it's probably the clan suit, right? Or
no, yeah, so I would say it's a bit of both. I've always appreciated getting access to more suits to play with. Also, the clans match reward suits tend to be fairly unique or interesting, and the fact that it takes 6 months to a year before they get released as limited missions, it's nice to get ahead of that. I always have appreciated them. But even beyond that, yeah, it's a small point of pride. It's nice to say, hey, if you've ever doubted, your particular skill at this game, or you want to know, where you stand and where you are, that's not a bad place, bad way to achieve that or do that. I just think it's nice to see, and also, frankly, it's awesome to continually see similar Western clan groups in that top 100. Like I always check after it's all said and done every week, and it's like, oh, they played that night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I wish I could have seen those games. Like, oh, they did great this time. It's just nice to see, A, that the Western community still exists in some fashion, and B, that there's still a competition there. There's still people that want to try their best, see how they compare with the other players. It's nice. I mean, well, it's we'll jump back to this. I was going to mention making the small sacrifice of the timing, because if you don't make that simple battle for Saturday night, which is a lot easier, you're probably going to end up losing some sleep getting those Saturday morning matches, particularly when daylight savings.
I wouldn't even worry about the tension.
We're getting up at like 7, 6 a.m.
Fan match wise, like we have basically two schedules at that point. It's either 5 a.m. Pacific time, or it's 8 or 9 in the evening. So it's fine to tangent back with that, because it still ties into, you kind of have to pick your poison. Also, kind of goes back to as a callback to, finding what your group's strength is. Like for some people, they may not like space. I certainly don't. I pretty much feel like I'm a detriment and I'm a dead weight in space. But at the same time, depending on what the cost range is and what the mode is, I mean, it's you're a participant, and anything that can consistently put damage down, and if you can minimize losses, that's still helping out your clan effort, even if you're not able to be 100% along for the ride, essentially.
It's a good thing you mentioned space too. Yeah, because it really is a different world. Not only do you see some clans will just not do space. There have been times even on Saturday nights where you would expect to see Western clans, they just don't show up because, like you said, some people just don't do space. But beyond that, it's also about the rating. You can reach top 10 very easily in space, and even top 3 fighting 8+ average clans. Because so few people do space, there's such a smaller player base there, it's actually fairly difficult to increase your rating. And I've seen this as a Western player. It could be my provider, I'm not sure. As I approach S- space, the matchmaking slows to a crawl. Mm-hmm. Even on Tuesdays and Thursdays when we have space dailies, that's what I would use to increase my rating consistently. It takes forever, and sometimes I'll just get failed matchmaking after a minute or two of waiting, and just have to repeat it 5 or 6 times to get a match. It's abysmal. It's terrible. But it's not necessary. That's another thing. Like, if you've played space enough to get to A flat, you and your friends, I would say give it a shot. It is worth it. You will be shocked at the different level of competition you will find on a space clan match. And that's probably one of the easier ways, especially if it happens to fall in a top 100 clan match day, where the suit reward is available to any clan that makes it in top 100. I want to say
a small tangent, because I feel like it almost feels like it's the old classic rated system kicking in for space. Even though we have flat S now available for both space and ground combat, it just feels like it's the old classic rating system from back in the day. Because I was stuck for A- for the longest time, so yeah, it just doesn't surprise me. I mean, not in a negative way. It's just the competition's that much higher in space because it is less played than that. All right, so we've talked about why you should do clan matches, getting into the strategies, at least in the terms of setting up your team. But one thing I would say that probably you and I have some type of knowledge about, you more so you, Alex, is the whole meta. There's always going to be a meta in any sort of PvP competitive game, no matter how you look at it. GBO2 is no different. I would say the best way is, how would you go about learning the meta of GBO2 and how that applies to whatever cost range you decide as a group to get into, or mode?
Absolutely. So generally, I would say this is where you pay attention to those matches you're in. Perfect example of this. Recently, in the last major suit update that the devs had released, We probably are finding, our listeners, I'm sure, have seen a dramatic shift in the suits picked from 400 cost and up. What are we seeing in every single match? Oh, the good old Grandpa Gundam. And occasionally, for those with good aim, the Gundam UL, oh, sorry, Gelgoog UL. And yeah, I would say you notice that the meta shifts with every update, and occasionally, as we have in this case, it'll shift toward very accessible suits. We thought this suit was left in the dust, and it got one of the biggest upgrades we've seen in months, if not years, and it is highly competitive at virtually all costs. Very basic but extremely effective kit. You see it. Basically, play your matches and see what people are consistently bringing. If you find that these players in these suits are constantly topping the boards in every match, I would say take it into training. Look at that power, the modifiers on these weapons. Look at the strength. Look at the options. See if you can repeat what they're doing. And if you enjoy it, I would say run it. So I am a little bit of two minds on like forcing the meta for the suits you and your team choose. Mm-hmm. There is always room for knowing a particular suit very well or having a particular comfort with the suit. For example, we all recognize that, yeah, the Grandpa Gundam is very difficult to necessarily outperform because it's kind of a simple suit, but it hits so hard in everything it does. Very easy to chain stun into downswings, etc. But if you find there is a suit you love that you are consistently contributing in your matches to, I completely support and back that. You run with it. But, and this is what I say, it has to be tied to data. It has to be tied to experience. Are you truly contributing, or is it just a suit you really like? I do think it's worth, kind of being introspective, looking at, what you're doing, how you're playing, how you're performing, and being honest with yourself. Like, there's plenty of great suits out there that I just don't mesh with that well, so I just don't use them. I'll pick something that I, actually consistently perform in because I don't want to be a detriment to my team. And if a lot of people have that mindset, if you have 4 people that, have that kind of thoughtful approach, you're going to do well. It's going to work because it is rare to run into an opposing team where everyone has that, same level of consideration. If you go into a match, thinking well on the choices you've made going into that match, and you're running with people who have a similar mindset, you're going to do well. You're going to win.
I got you. I was gonna say, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I thought, maybe as a vibe check, maybe it would be your turn to play the Zommel.
Oh my god, that'd be perfect. Honestly, and I tried it once, and I'm like, man, I just can't get comfortable with the weapon switching, because I know we're talking about Poggers, who's the king of Zammel. If you haven't heard of him, Mighty Poggers, excellent Zammel player, great videos to watch. He just quick swaps between aiming down the scope, combos perfectly, great aim. It's just not me. I'll stick with generals and the occasional raid.
That's the joke, because he is so good, and watching it, I'm just sitting here in disbelief, like, why is he getting away with this? He can't keep getting away with this. Why? But I mean, that just goes to show, like, it's absurd, but like when you pair it alongside how you guys mesh in, I feel like it's a little surfing for me to say this, but at the same time, like, I've seen it. Like, when you guys have the right group, even with something as goofy as the Zommel, and to be fair, the Zommel got buffed recently too, in like the last few months, if I'm not mistaken. So like, it's not untrue to not try to bring it in, because people still don't know how to like kind of knock it out of commission, or at least temporarily knock it out of commission because of those shock dampeners. It's basically, another version of the Zoc that just is annoying, but that just has so much extreme range that it's just like, you have to come to me to do anything. It's just crazy. And then like calling back to, Grandpa Gundam getting upgraded and the Uma Lightning Gelgoog, which honestly they should have a Gundam Gelgoog Uma Lightning, which I wouldn't be surprised if BB Studios rolls one out, but that's tangent too far. It's crazy. I still have yet to try out the Uma Lightning with its recent buffs, but I think I did play it off on the side in space, and I'm like, this is pretty nasty. I'd like to be a lot more consistent with it, because it definitely looks like it's a fun suit that has a bit of bite to it as well. Much more bite than it had before.
Yeah, strong recommend. I actually, if I ever feel like just having comfort matches where I know I'll top the board, even if I win or lose, just I know I'm gonna throw out a bunch of damage and get some good kills, I'm gonna use that suit.
Spe-
It's just so consistent. Those wrist grenades are ridiculous, and napalm adds consistently. Just throw it across the enemies as they approach. It's amazing.
I gotcha. Do you prefer, like, I know you've seen a lot of the JP players run the beam rifle. Do you prefer the beam rifle, or do you prefer the boombox? Because I
I
know
actually
both
prefer the
are
beam rifle.
options.
Yeah, so I've seen both work. My issue with the boombox is the very long reload. Although I understand you can quickly swap out of the boombox after the first rocket shoots out if you want that guaranteed stun. And I feel the boombox does lend itself more easily to melee for the Galgoo UL because it allows instant stun melee. You can just do the traditional general combo. But personally, I do like having the Gelgoog rifle fully charged. I've hit as hard as 5,000 damage on a raid, or a Kempfer that didn't have any beam defense.
Ooh.
It hits very hard, and you can easily build stun as long as you hit them with your napalm and your wrist grenades. I found more consistent damage just having that. Again, it doesn't instant stun without charging, but you can build up to it by shooting with the beam and then swapping to your wrist grenades, which come back within a few seconds. So you still get the stuns pretty frequently.
I was gonna say, in addition to that, since we're on the topic of the Uma Lightning, I think uncharged the Gelgoog beam rifle has pretty good chance to like break legs just uncharged when you combo it with all the rest of the weapons that the Uma Lightning has.
I believe it. Actually, I may share a clip with you later on it. There was a pixie that was approaching me. I think I had about 300 health left, and it just crossed my view. The full charge beam rifle and one set of the wrist grenades broke its legs from full, and then it let me kill it with melee. He just spawned in too. I think it's a perfect example of the effectiveness of the Gelgoog UL, so I'll be sure to share that one.
I gotcha. Well, I would say, I was gonna say, in terms of our last topic, what do you think about the future of Gundam Battle Operation 2? Because I'm not the one to say this. I've seen this from other people, but we've heard talk of end of service, mainly because I think, when it relates to clan matches, you're seeing a lot. You're still seeing a good majority of, we'll say, Japanese clans being up there, and maybe some Western clans kind of getting in the mix of things. What is your opinion to kind of jump into that, if you had any?
Yeah, I remain somewhat hopeful, somewhat optimistic. I mean, obviously, the game is going to continue running. It's generating a tremendous amount of revenue for Bandai Namco. That's not going to end for a while, at least 2-3 years minimum, I'm sure. But in terms of the community, a part of me thinks there is potential for the Western scene to at least grow. It may not, surprise us or explode to something, incredible, but I still see, emerging Western clans show up on the board from time to time. I'm always pleasantly surprised to see it, but they've been coming up. I know, obviously, we've lost, a lot of some of the great older clans that played 3-4 years ago, due to lack of interest or life circumstance. But there are other clans out there. I've seen Xeon Fangs, Xeon Devils, Moon Goons, just awesome, newer players, and they clearly are enthusiastic about the game, and they're putting themselves out there. They're trying. I don't see why we couldn't get a few additional, clans, or just even more people to join those clans, just so we see more of them around. The player base is there. I think they just need to know that clan match is accessible and there's more to do here. I think another good example of this too, or just seeing the scene. I feel I know this happens every anniversary, so I know it's probably temporary, but I mean, I'm seeing some names show up that I didn't see for the last anniversary. I was surprised to find some of the people that came back. Maybe these suits from Crossbone and F91. Maybe that's attracting people. If that's working, then hey, more power to it. I hope to see more people come back.
Absolutely. I think we're definitely seeing a definite resurgence for sure. I wouldn't call it a renaissance per se, but I do think that anniversaries definitely being a factor into, seeing player counts, affected, which we never see those figures, by the way. I don't want to, insinuate that, oh yeah, it's gonna be the highest that it's ever been. I don't have access to that, but I don't like to be that kind of person to say that, yeah, the game's dead because of this and this and this. The game's only gonna be dead because of other reasons on its own. It just gets too old to support, which at some point GBO2 I feel like will eventually get to that point, but until then, as a player that appreciates the Gundam franchise, I think and I don't want to put words in anybody else's mouth, but I feel like we should be able to enjoy that for as long as we can, as much as we can.
Well said. Definitely agreed.
I gotcha. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our video regarding clan matches. I want to say thank you to Alex, who has been more than plenty accommodating to lend his knowledge, expertise, and a little bit of humor in regards to that. Alex, do you have any special messages you want to lay it out to the folks out there? Maybe regards to Londo Bell, maybe some of the other folks that would appreciate some kind words, whatever you have in mind. I'll leave that to you.
I would say, well, first, thank you for having me. It's been great being here. It's been a good talk. And as kind words, I would say some of the best gaming experiences I've had as a gamer, and I'm an older gamer, been into this for a while, have been through Gundam, Battle Operation 2 and the clans and the players that I've met and run into. A special shout out to Zionic Core, LAU, A5C, Win, WD, all these awesome, amazing clans who, we all fought and played against and played with. And hey, we see you. When we do see you, we're very grateful and we're glad to see you. It's an awesome experience, and we're hoping to see you guys come back and keep seeing you on the battlefield.
That's awesome. I'm going to interject OMF too, because I know we kind of accidentally probably just flew off the, radar because, on the spot, names that just come up. I know OMF's up there too.
Yeah,
so,
no, absolutely. Yeah. Much respect to OMF. Great, excellent clan, of course.
Absolutely, because I know we both respectfully know some people out there as well. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and until the next time, I will see you guys all on the next video. Take care.